Hello, everybody. It's a game Freeze here, and today we are um going to react to um going to react to the going to react and we're just gonna read all the books right here. So we're just going to go where go here. Okay, this okay. If you didn't see my last video, you should watch it. Okay, this book is called Brave Erin. This is the one who's gonna be reading is Al Gore. So um we're going to watch this though, but all you have to do is subscribe and join the Keyblade team. And I'll try to do a Grand Theft Auto online right now on there, but I didn't because my internet's shutting down. So we're gonna watch this right now.
Hi, I'm Al Gore, and this is part of the Book Pals program, sponsored by the Screen Actors Guild Foundation. And today, I'm going to read you this book, written and illustrated by William Steig. It's called Brave Irene. Here's how it begins. Mrs. Bobbin, the dressmaker, was tired and had a bad headache, but she still managed to sew the last stitches in the gown she was making. "It's the most beautiful dress in the whole world," said her daughter, Irene. "The Duchess will love it." "It is nice," her mother admitted. "But, Dumpling, it's for tonight's ball, and I don't have the strength to bring it. I feel sick." "Poor Mama," said Irene. "I can get it there." "No, Cupcake, I can't let you," said Mrs. Bobbin. "Such a huge package, and it's such a long way to the palace. Besides, it's starting to snow." "But I love snow," Irene insisted. She coaxed her mother into bed, covered her with 2 quilts, and added a blanket for her feet. Then she fixed her some tea with lemon and honey and put more wood on the stove. With great care, Irene took the splendid gown down from the dummy and packed it in a big box with plenty of tissue paper. "Dress warmly, Pudding," her mother called in a weak voice. "And don't forget to button up. It's cold out there and windy." Irene put on her fleece-lined boots, her red hat and muffler, her heavy coat, and her mittens. She kissed her mother's hot forehead 6 times, and then once again made sure she was tucked in snugly, and slipped out with the big box, shutting the door firmly behind her. It really was cold outside, very cold. The wind whirled the falling snowflakes about this way, that way, and into Irene's squinting face. She set out on the uphill path to Farmer Bennett's sheep pasture. By the time she got there, the snow was up to her ankles, and the wind was worse. It hurried her along and made her stumble. Irene resented this. The box was problem enough. "Easy does it," she cautioned the wind, leaning back hard against it. By the middle of the pasture, the flakes were falling thicker. Now the wind drove Irene along so rudely she had to hop, skip, and go helter-skeltering over the knobby ground. Cold snow sifted into her boots and chilled her feet. She pushed out her lip and hurried on. This was an important errand. When she reached Apple Road, the wind decided to put on a show. It ripped branches from trees and flung them about, swept up and scattered the fallen snow, got in front of Irene to keep her from moving ahead. Irene turned around and pressed on backwards. Go home, the wind squalled. Irene, go home. I will do no such thing, she snapped. No such thing, you wicked wind. Go home, the wind yodeled. Go home, it shrieked. Or else. For a short second, Irene wondered if she shouldn't heed the wind's warning. But no, the gown had to get to the Duchess. The wind wrestled her for the package, walloped it, twisted it, shook it, snatched at it. But Irene wouldn't yield. It's my mother's work, she screamed. Then, oh woe, the box was wrenched from her mittened grasp and sent bumbling along in the snow. Irene went after it. She pounced and took hold, but the ill-tempered wind ripped the box open. The ball gown flounced out and went waltzing through the powdered air with tissue paper attendants. Irene clung to the empty box and watched the beautiful gown disappear. How could anything so terribly wrong be allowed to happen? Tears froze on her lashes. Her dear mother's hard work, all those days of measuring, cutting, pinning, stitching for this? And the poor Duchess. Irene decided she would have to trudge on with just the box and explain everything in person. She went shuffling through the snow. Would her mother understand, she wondered, that it was the wind's fault, not hers? Would the Duchess be angry? The wind was howling like a wild animal. Suddenly, Irene stepped in a hole and fell over with a twisted ankle. She blamed it on the wind. Keep quiet, she scolded. You've done enough damage already. You've spoiled everything. Everything. The wind swallowed up her words. She sat in the snow in great pain, afraid she wouldn't be able to go on. But she managed to get to her feet and start moving. It hurt. Home, where she longed to be, where she and her mother could be warm together, was far behind. It's got to be closer to the palace, she thought. But where any place was in all this snow, she couldn't be sure. She plowed on, dragging furrows with her sore foot. The short winter day was almost done. Am I still going the right way, she wondered. There was no one around to advise her. Whoever else there was in this snow-covered world was far, far away and safe indoors, even the animals in their burrows. She went plodding on. Soon night took over. She knew in the dark that the muffled snow was still falling. She could feel it. She was cold and alone in the middle of nowhere. Irene was lost. She had to keep moving. She was hoping she'd come to a house, any house at all, and be taken in. She badly needed to be in someone's arms. The snow was above her knees now. She shoved her way through it, clutching the empty box. She was asking how long a small person could keep this struggle up when she realized it was getting lighter. There was a soft glow coming from somewhere below her. She waded toward this glow and soon was gazing down a long slope at a brightly lit mansion. It had to be the palace. Irene pushed forward with all her strength and sloosh, thwomp. She plunged downward and was buried. She had fallen off a little cliff. Only her hat and the box in her hand stuck out above the snow. Even if she could call for help, no one would hear her. Her body shook, her teeth shattered. Why not freeze to death, she thought, and let all these troubles end? Why not? She was already buried. And never see her mother's face again? Her good mother who smelled like fresh baked bread? In an explosion of fury, she flung her body about to free herself and was finally able to climb up on her knees and look around. How to get down to that glittering palace? As soon as she raised the question, she had the answer. She laid the box down and climbed aboard. But it pressed into the snow and stuck. She tried again, and this time, instead of climbing on, she leaped. The box shot forward like a sled. The wind raced after Irene, but couldn't keep up. In a moment, she would be with people again, inside where it was warm. The sled slowed and jerked to a stop on paving stones. The time had come to break the bad news to the Duchess. With the empty box clasped to her chest, Irene strode nervously toward the palace. But then, her feet stopped moving and her mouth fell open. She stared. Maybe this was impossible, yet there it was. A little way off and over to the right, hugging the trunk of a tree, the beautiful ball gown. The wind was holding it there. "Mama," Irene shouted. "Mama, I found it." She managed somehow, despite the wind's meddling, to get the gown off the tree and back in its box. And in another moment, she was at the door of the palace. She knocked twice with the big brass knocker. The door opened and she burst in. She was welcomed by cheering servants and a delirious Duchess. They couldn't believe she had come over the mountain in such a storm, all by herself. She had to tell the whole story, every detail, and she did. Then she asked to be taken right back to her sick mother. But it was out of the question, they said. The road that ran around the mountain wouldn't be cleared until morning. "Don't fret, child," said the Duchess. "Your mother is surely sleeping now. We'll get you there first thing tomorrow." Irene was given a good dinner as she sat by the fire, the moisture steaming off her clothes. The Duchess, meanwhile, got into her freshly ironed gown before the guests began arriving in their sleighs. What a wonderful ball it was. The Duchess in her new gown was like a bright star in the sky. Irene in her ordinary dress was radiant. She was swept up into dances by handsome aristocrats who kept her feet off the floor to spare her ankle. Her mother would enjoy hearing all about it. Early the next morning, when snow had long since ceased falling, Mrs. Bobbin woke from a good night's sleep feeling much improved. She hurried about and got a fire going in the cold stove. Then she went to look in on Irene, but Irene's bed was empty. She ran to the window and gazed at the white landscape. No one out there. Snow powder fell from the branch of a tree. "Where is my child?" Mrs. Bobbin cried. She whipped on her coat to go out and find her. When she pulled the door open, a wall of drift faced her. But peering over it, she could see a horse-drawn sleigh hastening up the path. And seated on the sleigh between two large footmen was Irene herself, asleep but smiling. Would you like to hear the rest? Well, there was a bearded doctor in the back of the sleigh, and the Duchess had sent Irene's mother a ginger cake with white icing, some oranges and a pineapple, and spice candy of many flavors, along with a note saying how much she cherished her gown and what a brave and loving person Irene was. which of course Mrs. Bobbin knew better than the Duchess. I hope you enjoyed this book, Brave Irene.
I think I watched. I think I read this book before. I think I read this book before. Hmm. I shoot. I've never heard of a book called Irene. I've seen it before, and I could just slide the whole thing. It's just going to. Roy did Mr. Fokker. Stand there. Okay, this book calls Sophie's Masterpiece. It's gonna read by CCH Pounder. I don't know. And this is a woman reading this to us. I don't know.
Hello, welcome to Storyline Online, brought to you by the Screen Actors Guild Foundation. I'm CCH Pounder, and today I'm reading Sophie's Masterpiece by Eileen Spinelli. The illustrations are by Jane Dyer. It's a spider's tale.
Spider's Tale, really? I didn't know Spider's Tale.
Sophie was no ordinary house spider. Sophie was an artist. She spun webs more wondrous than anyone had ever seen. Her playmates called her incredible. Her mama was proud. Someday, they said, she's gonna spin a masterpiece. When Sophie arrived at the age when a young spider must strike out on her own, she moved to Beekman's boarding house. The first thing she did was to look around. She saw dull green walls, faded rugs, and old window shades. The place cried out for her talents. Sophie set to work. Her first project was to weave a web of curtains for Beekman's front parlor. Day after day, she whizzed along, blending a golden thread of sun into her silk. Then one day, the landlady noticed her and screamed, "I'll have no spiders in my parlor!" She swatted at Sophie with a dust rag. Sophie knew when she wasn't wanted.
Yeah,
Scampered
it's gonna be
across the
like
wall
Raging
and up the
Woman.
stairs into the
Raging Woman always
tugboat
so scared spiders.
When she finally settled down, she looked around and saw nothing but gray. Gray shirts, gray pants, gray sweaters. The captain needs a new suit, Sophie decided. Something bright, blue like sky. She began to spin patiently. A sleeve, a collar. One day, the tugboat captain caught Sophie at work. He screeched, "A spider!" Then he climbed onto the windowsill and out to the roof. Sophie did not want anyone falling off the roof on her account. She scuttled out of the closet, down the hall, and into the cook's bedroom slippers. Cook's bedroom slippers were patched and dirty. I'll spin Cook a new pair, Sophie thought, after I rest a bit. No sooner had Sophie snuggled into the toe than she was being flung to the floor. Was it an earthquake? No. It was Cook who had shaken Sophie out. "Yuck!" scowled Cook. "Look at that ugly, disgusting spider." Sophie's feelings were hurt. With great dignity, she journeyed across the rug and under the cook's door. She made the long, long climb up the steep stairs to the third floor where a young woman lived. Wearily, Sophie slipped into the young woman's knitting basket and fell asleep. By this time, many spider years had passed. Sophie was older. She only had energy to spin a few small things for herself. A tiny rose-patterned case for her pillow, ate colorful socks to keep her legs warm. Mostly, she slept. Then one day, the young woman discovered Sophie. Oh no, not Sophie. Close to tears. She knew she did not have the strength for any more journeys. But the young woman did not swat at Sophie with a dust rag. She did not climb on the roof. She did not say that Sophie was ugly. She simply smiled. And without disturbing Sophie in the least, the young woman picked up her needle and yarn. Sophie watched as the young woman knitted day after day. Please, cried Sophie. The young woman was going to have a baby. After the booties were finished, the young woman knitted a baby sweater. Then the yarn was gone. The young woman did not have enough money to buy yarn for a baby blanket. Never mind, the landlady said. There's an old brown quilt in the hall closet. Your baby can use that. Sophie had seen that quilt. It was scratchy and drab, not fit for a baby. Sophie knew the answer. She had to spin a blanket herself. In her younger days, this would not have been a problem. Sophie had grown frail and weak. Baby was due any day. Sophie had given time. She climbed out of the yarn basket. She traveled to the wide windowsill. Strands of moonlight fell into the room. Excellent, she thought. I'll weave those strands into the baby's blanket. Some starlight, too. Sophie began. As she spun, new ideas came to her. She worked them into the blanket. Snippets of fragrant pine, wisps of night, old lullabies, playful snowflakes. Sophie spun without blinking, or eating, or sleeping. She was never more exhausted or determined. On and on she spun. She was down to the furthest corner of the blanket when she heard the cry of the young woman's newborn baby. And there, on that furthest corner, is where Sophie woke into the blanket. Very own heart. That night, as the young woman was about to cover her infant with the landlady's quilt, something on the windowsill caught her eye. It was a blanket, so soft, so beautiful, as to be fit for a prince. The young woman knew this was no ordinary blanket. She placed it with love and wonderment around her sleeping baby, and went to sleep herself with her hand upon the little spider's last spinning. Sophie's masterpiece.
That book. That book. I was in the book. Okay. I know all these books before. I never knew these books before. I never want to watch. I don't even want to watch the whole thing. Watch the whole books. But I'm going to look for the last. We're gonna watch our last book. We already did Emily Pie for it. Hereditary Dog, we already done that. That was with Barry White. If I Ran for President. Library. My Cat. We're not gonna do that. We already done. We're known as My Non's House. Already done that. Paraguana. Nope. No, we're gonna keep. This is gonna be my last video, so. This is gonna be my last video, so. This will be my last video. And this will be my last video. A case of the carrot cake. I think this is a mystery book.
Welcome to Storyline Online, brought to you by the SAG-AFTRA Foundation. I'm Wanda
What did I do?
Foundation. I'm Wanda Sykes, and today I'm going to be reading The Case of the Missing Carrot Cake, written by Robin Newman and illustrated by Deborah Zemke. Boys and girls, this case is about thieves on Ed's farm. The names have been changed to protect the good guys. Over 100 animals live on this farm. Most work, some horse around, others steal. That's where I come in. My name is Detective Wilcox, and I'm a police mouse. The boss is Captain Griswold. We're MFIs, Missing Food Investigators. It's our job to investigate cases of missing food. Whatever the food, whatever the crime, we make the bad guys do the time. It was 10 a.m. Monday morning. The captain and I were working the day shift when we got our first call. Chapter 1, case file number 1113, the missing carrot cake. 10 a.m., headquarters. Wilcox here, headquarters. Hello, this is Miss Rabbit. How can I help you, I asked. My cake is gone. What cake, I asked. The cake I baked for my party tomorrow. Stay calm, ma'am. We'll be right there, I said. Captain, we've got a code 12, a missing cake. We grabbed some cheese donuts for the road and rushed to our squad car. We headed north across the farm, past the pig pen and chicken coop, straight to Miss Rabbit's hole. Traffic was light, only a couple chickens crossing the road. Chapter 2, the crime scene. 10:15 a.m., home
Chapter
of Miss
2, the
Rabbit.
crap scene.
Parked in front of Miss Rabbit's
Oh,
home.
shit.
We didn't see anyone, but we could hear a voice. Down here, called Miss Rabbit.
Dang.
We slid down the rabbit hole and landed in the kitchen. Cake crumbs, carrots, and frosting were everywhere. On the table, on the floor, and all over Miss Rabbit. Detective Wilcox, ma'am, and Captain Griswold, MFIs, I said, flashing my badge. Can you tell us what happened? I pulled out my pen and notepad. Note-taking is essential for any MFI. I baked a cake for my party tomorrow, said Miss Rabbit, and now it's gone. What kind of cake, I asked. A carrot cake with cream cheese frosting. I wondered which animal liked carrot cake. Where was the cake, I asked. Right here on the kitchen table. I left it to cool, and when I came back, there was a big mess and no cake. Miss Rabbit sobbed. The captain handed her a hanky. Thank you, sniffled Miss Rabbit. When did all this happen, I asked. Probably between 8 and 10 this morning. Any guess who might have done this? I probed. I noticed Miss Rabbit was wiping frosting off of her pajamas, whiskers, and nose. She clearly hadn't had time for a morning bath. No, wailed Miss Rabbit. I don't have a crumb of an idea. The captain pointed to the window in the distance. Fowler the owl was reading the newspaper in her maple tree. Everyone on the farm knew that Fowler liked rabbits. She liked them for breakfast. She liked them for lunch. She loved them for dinner. Does Fowler come around here, I asked. No, she won't mess with me. I have a black belt in karate, said Miss Rabbit with a quick chop of her hind legs. And ma'am, whom did you invite to the party? Porcini and Hot Dog. You don't think either of them is the thief, do you? Too soon to tell. I snapped shut the cover of my notepad. The captain checked the door. I checked the windows. There was no sign of a break-in. Could it be an inside job? Does anyone have a key to your rabbit hole, I asked. Miss Rabbit shook her head, sending crumbs and frosting flying. One last question. Where were you when the cake was taken? I was taking a quick cat nap. A cat nap. Such an odd thing for a bunny to do. I taped off the crime scene. The captain dusted the prints and took photos. This case was going to be a hard nut to crack. A hard nut indeed. Chapter 3. Suspects and Clues. 11 a.m. Fowler's maple tree. Suspect number 1. said Fowler, peeking her head out of her hole. What brings you two tasty treats to my tree? Investigating a case, I said, holding up my badge. Detective Wilcox and Captain Griswold, MFI. Where were you between 8 and 10 this morning? I was chasing a field mouse. Do you have any witnesses? If someone had seen her, she'd have an alibi. There was one, but I ate him. The captain shot her his "don't mess with this mouse" look. I shot her mine. You know it's 30 years behind bars if you eat an officer on this farm, I warned. You don't want to be a jailbird now, do you? Of course not. Besides, I like my meals tender. Everyone knows MFIs are too hard-boiled to make good eats. I chose to ignore that last comment. The captain glared at her with his "I'll show you who's hard-boiled" look. Your tree faces Miss Rabbit's hole. Have you seen anyone come or go from Miss Rabbit's in the last 4 hours? Just Miss Rabbit and the two of you. What's this all about anyway? Asked Fowler. A cake, I said. A rabbit cake? Asked Fowler. I love rabbit cake, especially with mouse frosting. I scowled. No, a carrot cake. I don't know anything about a missing carrot cake. Fowler fluffed up her feathers all innocent-like. I didn't say it was missing. You wouldn't be here if it were found, said Fowler. Tell us what you know. I pulled out my trusty notepad again. Or if you prefer, we can finish this talk down at the station. Fowler frowned, but she gave me the scoop. Miss Rabbit baked a cake all right. A carrot cake, like you said. I could smell that awful thing all the way up here. And then she took a walk in her pajamas. In her pajamas? I asked. That's odd. Where did she go? Towards Puccini's. Look, I'm not a tattle-telling parrot, but if you ask me, that sneaky porker Puccini is your thief. He could snip out a breadcrumb on the moon, and he'll eat anything too, even vegetables. Thanks for the tip. I pocketed my notepad. And don't fly out of town anytime soon. The captain and I rushed to the squad car. Next stop, Puccini's. Frankly, this case was moving slower than molasses. Slower than molasses, indeed. 11:45 a.m. Puccini's pig pen. Suspect number 2. Hey, Puccini, I yelled as we arrived at the pen. Detective Wilcox and Captain Griswold here. MFIs on a case. The captain waved his badge in front of Puccini's snout. What were you doing between 8 and 10 this morning, I asked. I was resting up between meals like I always do when Miss Rabbit stopped by. Puccini snuffled around the squad car. He must have smelled the cheese donuts. The captain pushed the pig away and flashed him one of his toughest glares. When was this exactly, I asked. I'm not sure, maybe around 9. Puccini waddled back to his side, slurping up banana peels on his way. And what did she want? Strangely enough, she didn't say, but she sure was acting like a funny bunny. Funny ha-ha or funny odd, I asked. She didn't say a word, not even a peep. When I asked if she wanted a nice cup of slop, and she was still wearing her pajamas, so I walked her back home like the polite pig I am. And is that what you took the cake? I asked. Puccini's cheeks turned the color of a red-hot chili pepper. I may take the cake as the best corn thief in town, but sirs, I am not a common cake thief. Oink! The captain handed me Puccini's rap sheet. That's a record of arrest for all you non-cops. It was a mile long for corn robberies, but he had no cake priors. Seems like you spent some time in the pen, I said, hoping his reaction would give me a clue. Why peck at the past? I did my time and now I'm clean. I bet Hot Dog ate the cake. That slobbering hound has a sweet tooth. That sounds like the pot calling the kettle black. Mind if we have a look around? Go right ahead. I have nothing to hide. The captain and I waded through Porcini's muddy pen. What a pigsty, I said. We'll never find anything here. The captain twitched his whiskers and nodded. Let's hope Hot Dog has some answers, I said, and that his place isn't as stinky. Truth to tell, this case was inching along slower than ketchup out of a bottle. Much slower, indeed. 12 p.m. Dirt road leading to Hot Dog's house. Captain, stop the car, I shouted. There's something up ahead. It's orange. The captain grabbed his magnifying glass and tweezers. He picked up the object. A carrot, I said. I ran back to the squad car to get the crime scene photos. This carrot matches the ones we found in Miss Rabbit's kitchen. We're on to something. The captain twitched his tail furiously. He pointed. Another carrot. I picked it up. And right by the front door, the captain found 2 more. Looks like Hot Dog's got himself in a bit of a pickle, I said. A pickle indeed. 12:05 p.m. Doghouse. Suspect number 3. Knock, knock. The captain rapped on the door. Open up. MF5s, I called out. Door opened slowly. I shouldered my way in. Detective Wilcox and Captain Griswold here, I announced. Is that carrot cake I smell? I don't smell anything, said Hot Dog. For a dog, that was a pretty incredible claim. He was surprisingly cool as a cucumber. The captain tapped me on the shoulder. He pointed to the flour, eggs, milk, vanilla, carrots, and dog biscuits on the kitchen table. What's all that, I asked. Breakfast? Looks like cake ingredients to me, I said. If you don't spill the beans now, we're gonna finish this talk down at the station. The captain flashed his, you're in hot water now, look. All right, I admit it. I baked the cake, but I didn't take the cake, Hot Dog insisted. What do you mean? Give us the facts and just the facts. I pulled out my notepad. I did go over to Miss Rabbit's, but only to see if she needed help setting up for her party. What happened? I grilled him. I knocked on the door. Nobody answered, so I peeked in the window, and that's when I saw cake crumbs, carrots, and frosting everywhere. On the table, on the floor, and all over Miss Rabbit's bathrobe, which was right in the middle of the mess. Now that I thought about it, I'd expect an apron, not a bathrobe. And then what happened? I started taking notes. I heard someone coming. I panicked and ran home. The captain made his, that's the fishiest story I ever heard, face. Wolf's honor, Hot Dog protested. I felt so bad that Miss Rabbit's cake was gone, I decided to bake her another one. Captain, dollars to donuts, he's telling the truth. Look at these prints from the crime scene. The thief has small, narrow feet. Hot Dog's paws are big and wide. He couldn't be the thief. With no more suspects, this investigation was scraping the bottom of the apple barrel. Think, think, think. The captain and I started to pace. 1, 2, 3 steps forward. 1, 2, 3 steps back. I grabbed the donut from my pocket. Cheese donuts always helped me think. And sure enough, that's when it hit me. Holy cannoli, Captain, I've got a plan. Hot Dog, we'll need your cake. With some luck, maybe we'll catch our thief red-handed. Or frosting-handed, as the case may be. Chapter 4, Video Surveillance and Stakeout. 12:30 p.m., Fowler's Maple Tree. We set up 2 video surveillance cameras. One on top of Fowler's tree, facing Mrs. Rabbit's front door, and another inside Miss Rabbit's kitchen, facing Hot Dog's cake. Then we waited, and waited, and waited. The smell of carrot cake drifted across the farm, past Fowler's maple tree, Porcini's pen, and Hot Dog's house. You! Fowler hooted. Fowler is clearly not our thief, I whispered to the captain. Just then, Porcini and Hot Dog showed up like 2 peas in a pod. Any luck with the investigation? Asked Hot Dog. Would they be sitting here if they had the thief? Shouted Fowler from the tree above. Whoever the thief is, he's very good, Porcini observed. Or she, cried Fowler. The captain looked at his watch. Tick, tock, tick tock. 2 hours had gone by. Nothing.
Wow.
3 hours. 4 hours. 5 hours.
Dang, that's a lot.
Still nothing.
Dang, that's a
The
lot.
clock kept ticking. Day turned to night, and night to day.
There's a
Puccini,
lot
Hot Dog, the captain,
of
and I were packed in like
years.
sardines as we fell asleep
Not
in the
of
face of Fowler Street.
day, night,
Everybody snored.
again,
Everybody's
day,
stomach
night,
rumbled.
and the same.
Nothing else happened. I was beginning to think maybe our goose was cooked. Cooked well done indeed. Chapter 5. The morning starts with the screaming. 9 a.m. Home of Miss Rabbit. Help! Cried Miss Rabbit. The cake is gone! Holy guacamole! Miss Rabbit's in trouble, I shouted. We all rushed over and slid down the rabbit hole. Cake crumbs, carrots, and frosting were everywhere. On the floor, on the table, and all over Miss Rabbit. Are you all right? I asked. Yes, sniffled Miss Rabbit. Did you see the thief? I asked. She shook her head, flinging out crumbs. Puccini hurried over to lick them up. The captain pointed to the video camera. Good thing we have the 2 videotapes, I said. Fowler brought down the tape from her tree, and we watched it first. It showed Puccini, Hot Dog, the captain, and me all rushing into the house. Where's the thief? Asked Miss Rabbit, wiping cream cheese off of her pajamas, whiskers, and nose. Maybe there's a problem with this camera, I said. Let's look at the second video. Miss Rabbit, you may want to sit down. The room was silent. There's nothing on this tape, cried Miss Rabbit. Patience, it's still rolling, I said, when the tape picked up the presence of a shadow. I can't watch, screamed Puccini. Me neither, cried Hot Dog. Woo! Hooted Fowler. Quiet, I shouted. The captain shot everyone his or else look. And then the blurry image of a figure appeared. Is it over? Screamed Puccini. I'm scared, cried Hot Dog. Whoo! Hooted Fowler. Shush! I shouted. The captain glared his be quiet look. The figure slowly came into focus. The pajamas, the whiskers, the nose, and the ears. Miss Rabbit? Cried everyone. No! Miss Rabbit wailed. That can't be right.
What?
I was asleep. You were sleepwalking, I explained. And great corn dogs. Sleep eating too, squealed Puccini. Why didn't I think of that? Eating all day and all night? What could be better? I'm sorry for all the trouble I caused. Miss Rabbit was beet red from embarrassment. No problem, I assured her. That's what we're here for. And I guess I'll have to cancel my party since there's no cake. Actually, there is a cake, said Hot Dog. I never baked just one. Chapter 6, the long-awaited party. 4 p.m., home of Miss Rabbit. Having all my friends gathered together is the icing on the cake, said Miss Rabbit. Detectives, many thanks for your hard work. Our pleasure. This case was a piece of cake after all. I put away my notepad. The captain smiled his easy as pie face. Hot Dog, thank you for your beautiful cake, Miss Rabbit gushed. Anytime, said Hot Dog, giving Miss Rabbit a hug. Now let's eat. I'm hungry as a wolf. 2 wolves, agreed Puccini. Miss Rabbit nibbled a piece. My, this cake is crunchy. Crunchy indeed, I said. Crunchy and tastier than it smells, hooted Fowler. The captain chomped so loudly he was speechless. Puccini finished one slice and started on another. Is carrot cake always so crunchy, I asked. It's my secret ingredient, dog biscuits. Do you like it? Asked Hot Dog. Everyone stopped eating except Puccini and Hot Dog. They finished every last crumb. Delicious, pronounced Puccini. Now that's how you make a cake disappear. Hot Dog smiled. 5 p.m. Case closed. Boys and girls, the case you just read was about thieves on Ed's farm. Every day food goes missing from the farm. Sometimes it's lost, sometimes it's stolen. Sometimes it just runs away. With all these animals, you can be sure of one thing: trouble is sure to hatch. These are the cases for MFIs. Whatever the food, whatever the crime, MFIs make the bad guys do the time. The end. I chose this book because I love crime stories, and these detectives, they did not give up. And also, the animals, they all work together to solve the problem. And most of all, I love cake. Thank you for watching Storyline Online. Make sure you check out all of our other stories. Keep watching and keep reading.
I think they made something differently. They just made something differently like that. They did a lot. The Productions and certain else foundation. It's a sad foundation, I don't know about that, but that's what it is. But this will be the last video I'm going to do on this. This is the last video I'm going to do on Storyline Online, so this is going to be the last story. Well, but this is the last video I'm going to do in this website, so I'm going to end this video right here. I will end the video here and join the Keyblade crew. Now, see you in this video. Love you. Bye bye.